women are the future of our species, right? By menstruating and having the capability, not the burden, the capability, the superpower of making humans.
Hi, and welcome to Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. This podcast is all about you and all the courageous, driven women like you. We are here to inspire, to empower, to share, and to embrace one another. We will be talking with women from different backgrounds and careers about love, family, friendship, their wins and falls, and what it took for them to live the life they love. I am your host, Claudia Noriega-Bernstein, and I am so happy you're here today. Hi, everyone. Today I have Kirsten Karchmer. She is a health tech pioneer and women's health expert and the founder and CEO of Conceivable Technology. I am going to stop right here because what she's about to share is so juicy. We, of course, have different opinions about the science and the religion and how a baby should be conceived and all that stuff. But I have found that even though AI can be a little scary in so many ways, we can also utilize AI to help us in our health, in the way we live, in the way we organize our life, in the way we write a letter. But imagine if AI can help you have a baby. I mean, how juicy is that? So I am so excited to have you here. And please share a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to dig into the juicy stuff.
That was such a lovely intro. And it's really true. I mean, I just want you to know that before I tell you a little about myself, like you might be thinking, but I don't really care about fertility, or I'm not trying to get pregnant. And what we're going to talk about today, if you know anybody who has a period or you have a period, this is worth listening to. I mean, we're in the context of infertility, but the reality is that in order to help somebody to get pregnant and stay pregnant, we have to make sure that all of the things around their period work. So I just want to make sure that nobody doesn't listen who would get something really valuable from being here. And as for me, I was one of the first board certified reproductive acupuncturists in North America. I treated over 10,000 infertile couples in my 3 clinics across Texas, Austin, San Antonio, and Dallas. We had an IVF clinic in my acupuncture center, so we were doing real integrative medicine. And then in 2016, I read a study, less than 3% of couples could afford fertility treatments. And even though acupuncture is way cheaper than IVF, it's still cost prohibitive for most people. And when I read that study, I literally cried because I was like bragging about, oh, I helped 10,000 women. And the reality is I left millions behind. There were millions of couples who wanted to have families who couldn't even afford to go to acupuncture. And in that moment, I decided to dedicate the rest of my life to not only making everything related to getting and staying pregnant the best in class, but practically free.
Oh, wow.
It shouldn't have to, like in many countries, one IVF cycle is the equivalent of a whole year's salary. I can't make sense of that.
Yeah.
Family is, and our families are the future of our society. So we have to hold them with the highest regard. And women are the future of our species, right? By menstruating and having the capability, not the burden, the capability, the superpower of making humans. And we were talking about in the pre-show, we were talking about the lack of reverence and how our dogs often show us more reverence than society does. And why do we want to hang out with our dogs more? Because they respect us, right?
Right.
So even we stop respecting ourselves, right? If we get enough cultural information that you're not good, you're invaluable, you're worthless, we start believing it. It's hard not to. Any person with a brain is going to be receiving those messages. So I'll stop there because I told you I wouldn't take 45 minutes for the whole first question.
And I love you for that. And you're 100% right. My daughter is going through infertility right now, and it is a lot of emotions involving this process. And she did acupuncture. She's very fond of it. She's very blessed that her husband insurance cover a big portion of the IVF. So she is considering trying one more time since the first time didn't work. But there is also that other emotional part when you're trying to have a baby, that you see other girls getting pregnant so easily. They don't even want it, or they're having abortions. And you're thinking, I've been trying, I've been praying, I've been doing everything. Why this is not happening to me? And it gets to a point where I think she is a little bit where she wants to put
on the side right now.
Of
It's like,
course.
I don't
She
want
wants
to
to
think
give
about
up.
it, Mom. I just, I'm sorry. She even apologized to me. Like, I'm
Mm,
sorry. I know how much you want a grandkid, but I can go through this one more time. I'm just like gonna wait because she only have one more round that the insurance is gonna pay. And she wants to be 100% sure mentally, emotionally, physically that this is going to work.
it is. It's intense. And honestly, the more like go-getter the woman is, the more type A she is, the harder it is on her. So many thousands of women have told me, like, I can do anything. Like, I'm just a producer. You know what I mean? Like, I get shit done in the world except this. This is the one thing I can't outwork. And what happens is you've said something really important. You say they're doing everything. Unfortunately, there's just a tremendous amount of misinformation. I would say there's more misinformation than quality information out there. And so what happens is women will come to me and they're like, I'm doing everything. I'm still not getting pregnant. Like, what are you doing? They're like, well, I'm doing CrossFit. I'm intermittent fasting. I'm taking Geritol and pomegranate juice and Ovasitol. And I was like, all of those things hurt your fertility. And
Wow.
they're like, what in the royal hell? Like, what do you mean? How is Ovasitol, that's a myo-inositol product people take with PCOS, how is that hurting my fertility? I'm like, because not all supplements, there are no supplements that are good for fertility. There are supplements that can help repair some of the underlying issues
Right.
impacting your ability to get pregnant, like blood sugar instability. But in
Mhm.
that one product that every person on social media is like, you should take this product because it has a combination of these two types of myo-inositol. Well, the second type of myo-inositol lowers testosterone. D-chiro-inositol lowers testosterone, which is great if you have PCOS and you have high testosterone diagnosed, not guessing, high testosterone, because it is going to lower that testosterone and normalize it. However, that's 2% of the population. We need testosterone in the egg for it to have, it's like the little bit of fire that makes it like help it to multiply and replicate. And so if you have normal testosterone, 98% of the population, or low testosterone, 30% of the population, and you take that product, you're actually making your testosterone even lower and making yourself less fertile. Pomegranate juice, super antioxidant, but 1 cup has 137 grams of sugar in it. That's the equivalent of 10 Snickers. 10 Snickers. So yes, have a glass of green tea and 1 Snickers and you still save 80 grams of sugar. Right. And so it really, I mean, and I wish I could say like that. There are other people like me, functional doctors and things like that. My job is to make it as affordable as possible. I'm really on a mission in that. So I would never, people say, should I do a Dutch test? Should I do this immunology testing? Should I do this? And I was like, probably not. Like, let's take 3 or 4 months and figure out all the underlying issues. Those underlying issues could be like you have a 24-day cycle that decreases your likelihood of getting pregnant by 50%, or you have a cycle longer than 32 days that decreases your likelihood of staying pregnant by 50%, or you only have 1 day of bleeding, you don't have enough lining, or you're exhausted, one of the most highly correlated biometrics for miscarriage. So we identify all of those underlying issues and we fix those. And the side effect is all those other things repair themselves.
And all this information you put it into the program, and that's where AI comes. And
Yeah.
this, so it's not that the computer per se, right, or the AI,
Yeah. Kai.
the doctor is going to get or gather all the information. So then the doctor is going to decide what the treatment goes.
No, Kai decides what the treatment is. So
Oh,
Kai is the AI, Kirsten AI, and she has a care team for you. So a chef, a nutritionist, a therapist, a data analyst, and a supplement formulator. And
okay.
soon an assistant, like a secretary, to do some, because we're stressed. People are really stressed. We need to give them tools to help cope with their stress.
Right.
And so what happens is it's not dissimilar of what I would do at my clinic, but it's better because AI is better than I am. The AI outperformed me by 6% in clinical outcomes. But so what happens is the AI asks a bunch of questions of you and then teaches you. She'll say, okay, here's your underlying issues. You're exhausted. You don't have any blood. Your temperatures don't get high enough. Your period's too short. There's a lot of clotting and a lot of PMS or whatever, right? Plus you're a vegan, which decreases so we need to figure something out for that, whatever. Gut issues. And then she pattern matches those things into
Mhm.
5 categories: energy, blood, hormones, stress, and temperatures. And then the care team comes together and is like, what is everything we can do to improve those underlying issues?
Mm-hmm.
So the chef looks at like, okay, well, this person has 1 day of bleeding. This person then needs to be eating more iron-rich foods, more foods loaded with B12 and B vitamins and B complex, methylated Bs. We need to make sure that her digestion is working so that even if we're putting perfect food in, can she break it down, convert it into energy, extract the nutrients, make marrow, make blood, and make a lining, all of
Wow.
those things. And so, or if she's super stressed, that can actually, there's a correlation to like low levels of blood volume. This is from Chinese
Mm-hmm.
medicine and anxiety. So we start trying to pattern match. Is there a relationship between those two things? And do we then, as we start doing like AI therapy with her and we start feeding her better and make sure that then her blood volume starts to come up, and all the time that AI team is analyzing like crazy. It's the piece that's missing in all of healthcare for women. Trackers, fertility monitors, I hate them so much because they're expensive and they scam you because they're
Right.
like, hey, capture ovulation wherever it lands. And it's really saying, we'll capture ovulation so that you can have a super high likelihood of having a miscarriage. Because if you have a regular period, I mean, 28 to 32-day cycle, you just have
Mm-hmm.
sex, cycle day 10, 12, 14,
Right.
16. You can't miss the fertile window. If
Right.
you have a shorter cycle, we need to figure out why. If you have a longer cycle, we need to figure out why. And then you don't need those monitors because the monitors just tell you data. Your LH is 13.2, your PGD is 19.7. And then the women are like, what in God's name does this mean? And what do I do with this? So it produces a lot of their doctor Googling and GPTing and trying to figure it out. And they don't know either. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, people, they ask me, they send me screenshots of it all the time. And I'm like, listen, just ask for a refund, like return that. It will not help you. There's a little bit of data that shows it might help you to get pregnant. There's zero data that shows that it help you to deliver a baby. So
Right, because it's
capturing,
one size fits all. It's for everyone the same. So they're not going to your specific case. Like what I was telling you earlier, my daughter has endometriosis. So how a monitor is going to know how the endometriosis is going to affect her cycle? It won't.
and more importantly, we don't even have to deal with the endometriosis because what we can do is deal with the underlying issues that contributed to the endometriosis presentation in the first place.
Oh, wow.
I don't care. In Chinese medicine, they have all these like statements of fact, which I love as a former linguist. I love words and language. And they always say, like, you're never treating anything, meaning endometriosis or infertility. You're always treating everything, the whole picture.
And but you said something really important because I remember when she was talking to her doctor, they, as I told you before we started recording the show, I was with her and we were FaceTiming the doctor. And I said, I think I would like to bring something to the table. I had endometriosis and I had an IUI, but they never asked her that at the beginning. So if I would not have said something at that moment, they would have never known.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so then she started getting curious, and then she talks to the fertility doctor, and then they did a biopsy, and then a lot of testing and whatever. But she was already in the boat for the IVF. So she has to go through the pressure of trying to fix, in
Yeah.
quotes, her body so the body will be ready to receive the embryo. So while she's taking care of the endometriosis, she's doing the fertility and the injections. And it was so much for this kid. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so crazy when I got your email and I learned about what you do. I'm like, how many women out there are doing exactly the same thing my daughter is doing, crying herself to sleep every time she gets a negative test and spending every money they have, every dollar they have. I know of a girl who had three mortgages, like three loans to be able to pay because her father passed away, left her some money. She bought a house and then she had to go in loans and loans and loans to pay this treatment. Finally, the third time she got pregnant. But imagine the amount of money that
But
she
now
owes.
she's
And now
bankrupt.
this kid is going to grow with the parents extremely stressed out because they have to sell everything they don't even have to pay for this baby to come.
You're 100% right. And even I met with a woman a couple weeks ago and she had had 8 failed IVFs. That's like $300,000. 8 failed IVFs. And when I first started interviewing her, I just asked the same questions. I've been doing it for 25 years. The first question is always like, what's your energy like on a 1 to 10? Making humans is highly energy dependent. And if you're tired, and most women are tired when you really dig in, and she's
Mm.
like, oh, it's horrible. It's like a 2 out of 10. See, the cells in the embryo, the embryonic cells, they have 10 times more mitochondria than any other cell in the body. Why? Because it's so energy dependent. That mitochondria are the energy makers. And so if you're exhausted, that's going to, you're resource deprived, which means it's going to affect your eggs through follicular maturation. And so then I asked her, tell me about your menstrual blood, because that is a great way for us to assess how suitable is the lining for implantation. And I like to see 4 days of bleeding, soaking a tampon or a pad about every 4 hours without cramping or clotting. That's usually very good chance implantation will be successful. And she's like, oh, she goes, there's not much blood at all. It's mostly clots.
Wow.
And I got so mad at her doctor. And I was like, this girl had zero chance. I would say that, like, zero chance of getting pregnant from IVF with just those two symptoms. There's no resources. I can't imagine the quality of her eggs because of whatever. It's not that you're tired that's the problem. It's why you're so tired. Are you not sleeping? Is your diet really, really bad? And all of us have those periods in our life where our diet is really, really bad. Is it that your gut is totally screwed up or you can't digest? You have bad sugar cravings? Is it that you're over exercising? You just have blown through all of the resources? Whatever it is, all of those things really hurt your fertility. And so what I hope that listeners can take away from this is that we have to divorce ourselves from this one-to-one relationship that we have in Western medicine. Like, you have a headache, you take a pill. You have low progesterone, you want to take progesterone supplements. The research is clear. It doesn't really work. 5% increased likelihood of staying pregnant. What I can tell you works is fixing the underlying things that help you to stay pregnant. We need high energy. I'm talking 8 out of 10 without caffeine or exercise. Take your basal body temperatures. If your temperatures are getting, I've done this a trillion times, this exact thing, because I can't not do it when I say it. After ovulation, in 3 days, your temperatures get to the 98s and they stay there until your period comes. That tells us there's enough progesterone to stay pregnant. And it is a reflection, like your energy, that many, many important systems are functioning correctly. And last, like I said before, good blood, 4 days of bleeding, soaking a tampon or pad, not less, not more, and especially no clotting. And when those three things are in place, people stay pregnant. It's a very good predictor of your likelihood of staying pregnant. And
Yeah,
so,
I was going to ask you about that because there is a lot of girls that go through the whole process and then they lose the baby.
I mean, on my live show, it is not uncommon for people to say I've had 19 miscarriages. I never heard that in my clinic. The stories I've been hearing on my TikTok show have like often made me cry. Just especially a lot of medical mismanagement. And like I've had 17 Clomid IUIs when the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology has been really clear to say, if you don't get pregnant from 3 or 4 cycles of Clomid and IUI, it's not going to work. And those medications, while they can be really beneficial, they do have a negative long-term effect on our overall fertility by drying up the cervical discharge and making our uterine lining thinner. So if you're already a person with less than 4 days of bleeding, or you can't soak a tampon or pad in 4 hours, and you add Clomid, it's going to make that worse instead of better. So we don't want to use Clomid or letrozole or even IUI until those 3 things work too, because to me, it's a waste of money. And I always tell people, like, I'm sort of controversial. I always say, like, I don't care if you ever get pregnant, if that means you're just going to miscarry. I want to protect you until I feel pretty decent amount of confidence that you're going to stay pregnant. It's not perfect, right? It's there, nothing, even Western medicine, we call it a science. It's still an art. Doctors are always making hypotheses and guessing. And so, but we can have a pretty strong hypothesis of when people are likely to get or stay pregnant.
So walk me through the process. Somebody comes or Zoom you because there's people all over the world. What's the process?
In person or in the app?
No, with you. Let's say they reach out to you and they say, you know what, I've been trying to get pregnant. Let's say my daughter decides to do this, okay?
Yeah.
And he says, okay, I want to call, I know, Kirsten and ask her what I need to do to get pregnant before I go to my next IVF cycle.
Yes, this is a perfect time to have this type of conversation. All you have to do is, I'm going to get a cup of tea and relax. And then I'm going to start asking questions. And the first question is, tell me the whole story. Tell me everything, start to finish. I don't care if it takes 30 minutes. And tell me everything. And then I'm going to be usually interrupting you some. And then afterwards, I'm going to start piecing things together and saying like, okay, this is what the app does too, but the app is just faster at it. And I can tell more stories and be more entertaining than the app, obviously. Hopefully we can get Kai there someday, but I'm still better at connecting the dots, like really showing you. And so I'm going to ask you like, what's your energy like? And you say, my energy's 8 out of 10. And for some reason, I don't believe you, right? So then I might say, oh, so you wake up rested in the morning? No. Do your temperatures get to 98? I have some questions that I can ask you to check your work. It's not that they're lying. It's because women are very positive. And unless it's really bad, women will make their situation seem better. We suck it up. Because the only way we're allowed to be in society is cute. If we're mad, we're a bitch. If we're sad, we're a baby. And so we are
smart either.
Yeah, no, yeah, don't, especially these glasses. I just was trying to get like less masculine, like less nerdy glasses because I'm like trying to date here. So, anyways, and so then I'm going to tie all the pieces together and then I'm going to identify, okay, I'm going to keep reiterating. So, I think the biggest issues, and I'm going to say, listen, it's not that bad because it never is. And even if there's like 30 things that are problematic, it's not that bad because those 30 things are connected to a few things. And so I was like, all right, the biggest problem, like that girl that we were talking about, the biggest problem is your energy is a 2. Now I need to figure out why your energy is a 2. Tell me about your diet. And she tells me about your diet. Tell me about your digestion. And whatever she tells me, I tell her more stuff, why that's important, how that relates to your fertility. Tell me about your sleep. Can you fall asleep, stay asleep, wake up rested? What's your energy like? I mean, how do you exercise? Are you doing CrossFit or intense exercise? Where's the energy going? Are you anxious all day? Are you really stressed? All of those things we're either making energy, restoring energy, or conserving it. And all of those
Right.
things come together to tell us the energy. And if the energy is low, then it makes it really hard to make blood because
Mm-hmm.
something in the energy production or some things are not functional. Then it makes it even harder to get the resources to make the blood. Then it's even harder to get the resources to make the hormones. There's no resources to regulate those. So you get then hormonal dysregulation. And then that impacts the temperatures and stress kind of ties into all of it. And so then I start making recommendations, right? So this is what we're going to do for the sleep issue. And this is what we're going to do for the whatever. And then I do believe that supplements can be really beneficial for people who are using fertility, who are trying to get and stay pregnant, or anyone in the women's health space. Unfortunately, just like there's a lot of misinformation, I'm not exaggerating. 90% of what is in your grocery store and on Amazon is complete garbage, complete worthless garbage, especially if it's a product that costs like $10 or $15.
Mm-hmm.
Like you find a CoQ10 that's $15, throw that in the trash because like we used to have a full line of clinical grade supplements, like think Metagenics, Thorne, that's kind of quality. And everything was $60 to $70. That was with us only taking a 15% margin. Usually companies take 100% margin, right? So our price for a $70 product is $52 for like a CoQ10, ultra high quality, like perfect product. So if they're selling a CoQ10 for $15, their price has to be like $1 to be able to buy all. You got to pay everybody. You got to pay Shopify. You got to pay your payment people. You got to pay taxes. You got to pay the affiliates who are doing. So their price must be $1 to sell it for $15. It's complete garbage. And so we want to try to figure all of that out and fix them.
I wanted to also ask you, if
Right,
they
hold
come
on.
to you, you load everything into the app, and then the app is going to come up with a plan.
No. So either they come to me for a private consultation and we do it all like, on Zoom. They can use the app and they'll go, the consultation in the app is abbreviated because people get too tired with so many questions that I want to ask, but and then you can absolutely use the app as a companion. You don't need me. If you
Mm-hmm.
want, like some people, like your daughter is a good example. She's in a bad shape right now after that last IVF, based on what you told me. That's not my judgment, right? She's
Mm-hmm.
really overwhelmed. She doesn't want to
Mm-hmm.
do it again. She can't kind of get it up for the next round.
Right.
The app is not going to be useful for that. I'm an excellent cheerleader, right? Of really highlighting, listen, here, I'm going to tell her, here's why I think you didn't stay pregnant because of this, because your temperatures never get above 98. You are not
Right.
making enough of your own progesterone, or because your energy is so low. There's no resources for staying pregnant or whatever. And people typically feel a tremendous amount of hope after having a call with me, a tremendous amount of hope. And I always tell people, like, I've been doing this for 2.5 decades. I always say at the end of my consultation, if for any reason you didn't get your head blown off, not with a gun, but by like how good it was and how much better you feel, and like you should walk away saying, I have never learned so much about my body, my fertility, my period from any doctor or any person in my whole life, or ask for a refund.
Wow.
In
And
25 years, three times.
what about the partner? Because we are talking only about the woman, and
Yes.
oftentimes they have low mobility, low count, they drink or they smoke or they have a different lifestyle or whatever. So how that works with the system?
So with the app, we're not there yet. We have 3 things that we have to finish building, and our app will be ready, and probably we kind of pulled it because there was some things that I just couldn't get it right. And so we're going to rebuild it from the ground up. It'll be ready in about 6 or 8 weeks. So by the time this
Mhm.
probably airs. And so what'll happen is that either we're doing it all analog or it's in the app. And most people will combine those.
Okay. Okay. Wow, this has been so much information. Where can they find you? I'm going to have the description, but sometimes people are just driving and listening to the podcast in their cars. So how can they get in touch with you?
So the best way to get in touch with me is through our website, just at conceivable.com. It's super easy to remember. You can follow me on TikTok. That's my main channel. I'm on Instagram, but it's mostly my TikTok information repurposed. So your fertility expert. And there's at least 30 people who are pirating my content and fake accounts. So if it doesn't have more than like 150,000 followers, it's not actually me. So it should have like 5,000 videos, tons of content there. There's another one for periods. Instead of your fertility expert, is the period expert. And that's more for like, it's pretty focused on first periods and early menstruators, because that will all be inside of the conceivable experience at some point.
Okay. This has been so enlightening, and I thank you so much. I know that we have moved this appointment a couple of times, but I believe in the divine timing. I think this was the right time for us to talk. I hope my audience can get a little glimpse of what's possible if they're going through something like this, or if they know somebody that is going through something like this. There is always hope. I lost 13 babies. 13 miscarriages before I was able to have. I had to have a menopause when I was 24. They forced me to have a menopause for a year to reboot my body. Then I finally got pregnant. I think my body was like desperate to get pregnant. But for my second baby, I had to wait 3 years, and I lost 13 babies in those 3 years. And I would get pregnant and lost the baby. And when I finally got pregnant, because I had 2 IUIs with my daughter Isabella, which is the one that is going through this right now, I had to be in bed almost 6 months out of my pregnancy because the doctor said to me, you don't have enough lining to hold the baby. And she was born at 8 months, but I had to be, imagine, 6 months of those 8 months, I had to be in bed, because if not, I could lose her. So every time that I hear of a possibility of an alternative way of helping women that want to have babies, not that they just, no judgment to anyone, but not that just go from one night and get pregnant, but the ones that really, really, really want to get pregnant, and they really, really trying everything possible. I love those conversations because knowledge is power, and we don't know what we don't know until we know. And this is going to be so juicy and so important for so many women that perhaps are going through this and they give up. They feel that there is no more choices for them, or they can't afford the IVF, or simply are exhausted mentally and emotionally to even try one more time. So, Kirsten, I'm so grateful that you took the time to be here. I'm going to have all the information. I do have a newsletter every week that I have a show, and I talk a little more about our conversation. So if anybody wants to receive the newsletter, you can get the link in the description of the show. And I'm going to have all the information that Kristen just shared with us. So if you have any question, you want to get in touch with her, you can go there and get all your answers.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening to the Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. If you like this episode, please write a juicy comment below and subscribe to my podcast. Remember, we can only fly if we embrace each other. Until next week, be happy, be safe, and be kind to yourself.